Hello, testing, testing. All right. Hello, hello. Babies, my babies. So, but before starting this video, I was kind of like questioning within myself what are the things that I would basically rather do than just make the video. And I was having a long conversation and I was writing some stuff. It's excitingly fun in a way where you're always kind of like, I don't know how to. I'm not sure I'm explaining that properly. But I think it's understanding the feeling in a different sensation. So instead of anxiety, I'm trying to understand. I'm seeing it as more. I get excited and I kind of tumble down and fall instead of like the other way around. You get you get anxious and you kind of like maybe freeze or something. Because anytime something is happening with you and you're getting excited towards it, it seems we either push too much or we stop pushing. No? But anyway, so I was sitting and writing and I was like kind of discussing some stuff. And I started thinking yesterday's video, I didn't like it. And it felt very all over the place because I had no kind of sense of direction. And it's funny because today I wrote the note. Any direction comes with some form of expectation. Today I just wrote it, right? It's not funny. I actually thought maybe I could actually start off this. I have no fucking idea, man, right? Like I'm following up with whatever I'm thinking about. And I'm kind of like allowing myself to notice the difference between yesterday and the other videos that I felt better about. So looking at this kind of like at the approach, I realized that yesterday I just dove directly into the point and it felt aimless. And other times I warm up to it in some way. I kind of like start talking about my day, and when I see the point, the note that I write, it kind of like sits in its a certain place and it kind of like flows. So I wanted to start this video by sharing that specifically out loud. So, because like this is the dynamic of how I'm building my thought process when these thoughts, right? Because every single day you kind of have to, no, so presence every single day is kind of noticing how your day was and all these kinds of things. And when you're with yourself, you have to like engage in expressing how your day was, probably to the world, to nature, to God, to life, in order for you to explore the intricacies of what happened, right? Because we all know what happened, which is kind of like did not really dive into the details. Some of them are normal patterns, some of them are new stuff handled with a different way. I have no idea. Like it's a game, right? You're figuring out a more efficient way to approach things. You're figuring out a more efficient way to like engage, I guess, with your surrounding, with yourself. I have no idea. For me, because you get to think and you go like, no, and I don't think it's the question, am I happy? I think it's like, no, uh, do you feel you're contributing to the place, not the place you want to be? Do you think you're contributing to how you want to look at life, how you want life to look like to you, right? Because if you want like happy-go-lucky rainbows, you'll pick a pick a road that is comfortable by you and allows you to see happy-go-lucky rainbows at the end of it. This visualization is very 2D, but ultimately it is really the essence of why we do stuff. If you just want a family, then basically you decide on how you kind of like want to be around that family, and then slowly transition into that man, and which gives you the lifestyle, the vibe that you want, man or woman, again, which allows you to transition into the lifestyle that you want and become like enjoy life fully. If you want a family, if you want success in your career, if you want peace, if you want good relationships, everyone, if you want to be if you want to be healthy, if you all that stuff, right? Like and they combine weirdly with each other because like you could want to experience a whole lot of stuff in life. You could want to experience the different parts of life. Like some people are just kind of like touristy. That's how they want to live their life, just like flying to different places and exploring them. right? And some people are just more, I want to carve pieces of wood into something beautiful and majestic. I have no idea. And so, like, I was having this conversation about the sense of direction with myself, and I realized the expectation. And then, as I was doing that, I kind of saw the sense of direction requiring in my videos, or else I don't really like. If I don't have a sense of direction in my videos, I kind of like float within the different things that are kind of like put in place. And so I was thinking maybe the issue is because I'm creating a sense of direction, or I'm not creating a sense of direction. That's why the videos go in place. But creating a sense of direction after the conversation I was having earlier with after the writing that I was having earlier, my conversation with the book, or my conversation with Tari, right? After writing it down and actually like discussing it, I noticed that to point in a direction is an expectation. So, but when I explain and I start with, hey, this is what happened to me today, this is how I thought about this, how I thought about that, it kind of creates a setting over on top of the vibe, under the vibe. It creates a vibe under the setting. It creates a vibe and a setting. So it kind of like doesn't feel like I'm starting from scratch when it comes to the thinking process. It's literally like at winter time, you have to turn the car on for like a minute so it warms up before you drive it. These are the diesel cars and shit like this. I don't know about electric cars these days. But so all these kinds of things are, it's not, and so the warming up period to actually be able to speak properly seems to not really work with a sense of direction because it seems like it's being pushed out. Whilst on the other side, if I don't have any sense of where I'm going, I kind of like, I'm not able to do the video. And I was like, there has to be a third option, or at least something more, something opposing the spectrum, because there was like, have a sense of direction or set the tune, the tone of the video, the tune, the melody, the whole, like, in the how's the video kind of flow. And so having this conversation between these two, again, I'm sorry about my eye, by the way, but like I was cutting wood the other day and something got into it. So we created a spectrum from left to right. There's on one side, you actually like create a direction with yourself. And on the other side, you don't really create a direction at all. You leave it. But these, I don't know if they're opposing each other. And if not, the neutrality of it. Like, so here, not choosing a point of direction and a point of direction are both not really the opposite of the spectrum, because doing nothing, or at least allowing the vibe to get created by itself, and we ease into that by starting the conversation with explaining what I was thinking about and maybe the notes that I wanted to write the day, or what are the things that kind of like got my attention. Because if I do that, I'll be starting off the story in a more fluent way because I already experienced those things. I just never elaborated on them. And by doing that, then any video I write actually like explores itself through the vibe of the day, or at the very least, the vibe of who I am today. And because every single day I'm actually taking a step forward. So by thinking about it this way, kind of remove judgment from why I'm doing what I'm doing, and expectation, and allows me to take full responsibility because I'm being authentic towards how I actually express. Right? I would want to like go over this one more time for my own sake. On one side, you take a point of direction, but then the point of direction has expectations. But on one side, you kind of like choose to do nothing. And choosing to do nothing is more of a half-assed way to allow something to move because you're choosing to do nothing. And on the opposite side of the spectrum is you're choosing to actually start by creating like the base. What am I starting with though? I'm starting with the story. I'm starting with how my day happened. So on the other side, it's just kind of like I maybe update you, right? Like every day I get to update you and I get to catch a vibe and I get to explain that vibe. So if I update you on what's going on or how things are going and what are things I'm thinking about or stuff, I don't know. Like I kind of like ease myself into the flow. And maybe that's why small talk is always, hi, how are you? What are you up to? Kind of like, people getting updates and kind of like picking the points of interest that allocate with them. And for me, since I'm looking at notes, then ultimately I kind of like have to start with that in order for the conversation to start flowing on its own. And I think that's the opposite side of the spectrum. It's kind of like just doing something randomly that establishes like momentum. Well, on one side, you choose a sense of direction and you go towards it. On the other side, you do something randomly, or not as random as you can kind of like correlate with whatever it is you're trying to do. Like randomly when it comes to YouTubing and like talking, right? That means I just start talking. And so talking about what's going on makes more sense than just kind of like, I don't know, random stuff. I I can't go and like be work like clean the house to get in the flow if I'm, or maybe I can, but not directly live on YouTube. So like, yeah, there are different ways for us to kind of like create the flow. And I think it's an interesting distinction between establishing something for the flow to happen versus kind of like moving forward as if like you want the flow to happen in a certain pace. It's establishing, man, establishing. Good times. It's a video. Fuck yeah, man. It's a video.